A lot of women think they have standards, but your life will show you the truth every time. If you're still getting the bare minimum, sit down, sis. We need to talk. Before we get into this list, let me just say this. You cannot have real standards if you don't know who you are. Not knowing yourself and low standards go hand in hand. You can be a diamond worth millions of dollars, but if you don't know it, you're gonna treat yourself like a regular cubic zirconia. And that's why you have to know your identity so you can know your worth. Because when you know your worth, certain things you just don't tolerate. I feel like I've lived so much life and I have so much more life to live. But in the life that I have lived, I have been through things, okay? And it is in those things where I found myself in a place where I was like, I am never going to be in this place again. Through trial and error, I raised my standards. And one thing about a woman with standards, we don't lower them ever. We're not shrinking, we're not settling, and we're not adjusting just to be accepted. If you cannot rise to the occasion and meet the standard, then we don't have any business. I'm not lowering anything to make something fit. So today we're getting into 5 things women with standards absolutely under no circumstances tolerate. The first thing that I, as a woman with standards, do not tolerate is inconsistency. Now, let me make this clear, okay? This is not just about relationships. This goes for everything in my life, okay? This could go for friendships. This can go for family members. This can go for a man. This can go whatever it is, you know, a job, whatever. I don't do the inconsistency, okay? I'm not Katy Perry. I'm not going to be singing "You're hot and you're cold." Like, let your yes be yes and your no be no. I don't like the mixed signals. I don't like, you know, the switching up of energy. I don't like when people don't know what they want. And nobody is going to put me on a back burner for anything. So if it causes confusion, I don't want it. If I have to question it, I don't want it. Inconsistency creates confusion, and I simply don't do confusion. The second thing that I do not tolerate under any circumstances as a woman with standards is disrespect, whether it's quiet or loud. When you talk to me, watch that tone, okay? I don't do the slick comments. I don't do the being undervalued or the time wasting. Anywhere where I feel like I am not being valued or I'm being undervalued, I remove myself. It's that simple. Wherever you have me messed up at, I'm gonna leave you at. No explanation required. Whenever I'm getting a service, I am on time for my appointments. I don't like my time being wasted. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. So I booked an appointment with this nail salon. I get there and they're like, "Oh, sit over there. You know, they'll be with you shortly." And I'm looking around. I'm like, are they not ready? Okay. So I sit down, I'm waiting. I look through the colors and I realize, like, you know, 10 minutes had elapsed. And that's about all the grace that I have. That's all the time that I give to these service providers, because if I was late, you're gonna be charging me for being late, or you would have had somebody else in my chair. So I politely got up, I got my bag, I got in my car, and I drove to another nail salon. 20 minutes later, my phone is blowing up. About 30 to 35 minutes after my scheduled appointment time, I get a call and I answer, and they're basically like, "Oh, we're ready for you now." I was already in another chair getting my nails done. I was halfway through my service, because what I'm not gonna do is sit anywhere where someone does not value me or my time, my money, and is going to waste it or treat me as if I'm just a number and she will be okay. Because I won't be. I'm gonna go where I'm valued every single time. The third thing that I absolutely under no circumstances do not do as a woman with standards is chasing and overextending. Baby, I am not here to prove my worth, okay? Have you ever been on a date with a man and they're like, "So what do you bring to the table?" I haven't either, thank God. Woo! But I just feel like in that instance, I'm not here to audition for you. I'm not here to audition for this role, because I don't approach men. So 9 times out of 10, you were attracted to me. You saw something in me hopefully beyond physical, that attracted you to me. And it's okay to want to get to know someone, but as far as, oh, what do you bring to the table, and I have to roll out this whole long laundry list of, oh, I cook, I clean, oh my gosh, I can do this, I can do that, look at me, choose me, love me, pick me, please, me. Absolutely not. Are you okay? Baby, if I got to audition for it, I don't want the role. Give it to someone else. Please give it to somebody else. I'm not sending any long paragraphs, okay? You know, back in the day, and I'm guilty, ladies, in my 20s, I literally was that person that was like, oh no, I gotta send this long paragraphs. I remember one time me and this girl got into it. We were friends. And I use that term loosely, but we were friends. I sent her a message so long, I laid her out, chewed her up, spit her out. The phone was literally, like, the message was so long that Apple literally turned it into a note on the phone. I was like, ooh. I didn't just give her a long paragraph. I gave her a 5-page essay. Now it wasn't really 5 pages, but it was way too much. You know, a lot of times we get into it with our in earlier years, because I don't do this no more, but you know, we get into it with a man and we're sending that long paragraph. I just find it funny how, or does this not bother you? You just don't see how you made me feel, and we're rolling out all our emotions and just pouring our hearts out, and it's like, they know, they don't care, you know? And so for me, it's just one of those things where it's like, I'm not chasing, I'm not giving any extra energy, because we have to learn to look at people's actions and take it for what it is. Too often we get caught up in potential, and a lot of times we break our own hearts, because a lot of times if we look at situations, you know, like, people be being who they are, but we fall so for the potential, or because our standards are so low, or were so low, you know, now it's like, oh my gosh, the veil is being revealed. This is not what I thought, but we did it to ourselves. Stop sending them paragraphs. Don't force anything. If I feel like I'm doing too much, I'm already doing too much. I do not chase, I do not beg, and I do not overextend myself. Period. The fourth thing that I don't tolerate as a woman with standards is not having standards for yourself. You can't have standards for other people and not have standards for yourself. For instance, some of the standards I have for myself, I don't sleep past 8 a.m. And really 8 a.m. is late to me. But if I'm sleeping in, I do not sleep past 8 a.m. My house has to be clean. And under no circumstance am I just having company over here and everything's in disarray. And it's not even about company. I don't want to walk through my home on any given day and it's just funky and in disarray. Also, having a standard of making sure that, hey, I'm working out 3 times a week. Hey, I'm sticking to my budget and being financially disciplined. Like, these are things that I have set in place for myself. The way you show up for your life sets the standard for how others show up for you. You can't expect high standards for others if you don't even have them for yourself. And the last thing I do not do, I do not go backwards. Ever. That's to a relationship, that's to a friendship, that's to a job, that's to a mindset, that's to a lifestyle. If I left it for a reason, and you will never see me go back to it. Growth requires you to leave things behind, not revisit them. In order for you to grow, you have to shed things off of you, and you cannot get to your next season, you cannot get to the next place of elevation if you are steady trying to hold on and your hands are full with things from your past. So let it go. I also believe that as you do the work on yourself and as you actually grow, your tastes are going to change, your desires are going to start to change, and the things that, you know, might have once been entertaining to you, or you might have once tolerated or dealt with, you're gonna look back and be like, you couldn't pay me to go back. Ladies, you know, we look back at some of these men we done dealt with and we'd be like, baby, I don't even know how you even got me, because this version of me, you could never. But the old version of me, who didn't know her worth, who was the diamond but was acting like the cubic zirconia, Yeah, I can see how that happened. But the diamond, baby, please. At the end of the day, standards aren't just about what you say. You can claim, you know, these are my standards. These are my standards. You can go around broadcasting them from Mount Everest if you want to. But real standards are about what you aren't willing to tolerate and what you're willing to walk away from. Because a woman with real standards doesn't lower them to make something work. She lets go if it does not align. If you made it this far in the video, comment one thing that you no longer tolerate and make sure you actually stand on it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, babe.